Happy Tuesday. We're back with our Happy Two-Bit Tuesdays, but we're back with our life insurance series for this month, for February. Okay, so last week I talked about some of the reasons to have life insurance. This week I'm going to talk about the different kinds of life insurance, three most popular kinds. First is whole life insurance. A lot of people ask me about whole. The perfect time to get whole insurance is when you're in your 20s, when you're young, you're healthy, and your rates are low. So whole life insurance, well, all insurance, your price will determine on how old you are and any health risks, factors involved in that. So if you're young and healthy in your early 20s, your life insurance is going to be way less expensive than an older person. So for whole life, think of it this way. Whole life, the premium is the same for your whole life. That's the easiest way I explain it to people. That's why it's important. If you lock a $50,000 policy in when you're 25 years old, and you're paying $20 a month for that policy, when you're 60, you will still pay $20 a month for that policy. Nothing will change, and that policy is good until you die, or usually reach 100, whichever comes first. But that's why it's important. One of the reasons to get it when you're young, because you can afford whole life insurance when you're young. It does build cash value, which some people do want. And, you just pay it year over year at the same low price. No matter how old you get, no matter what health risks that have come about or illnesses or anything like that, it's going to be the same price. Next, term insurance. So term means the price is set for a certain amount of time or term. So generally, there's 10, there's 15, 20, 30. I've even seen 40-year terms. Obviously, you have to be young enough to get a 40-year term, because after a certain age, they're not going to want to insure you. So you can't be 60 and get a 40-year term. The most you can probably get is 20 years. So term insurance, that money can be used the same way for whatever you feel like you need to. This is a very popular option because it's a lot less inexpensive than whole. Once the term expires, your 20 years is up or your 30 years up of paying that same price, it is guaranteed renewable, but the price is going to change based on your age. So if you're 20 years old and you get a 30-year term policy, you will pay that same price till you're 50 years old, and when you turn 50, the insurance company will tell you how much it's going to be to keep that same coverage, which could be important if, again, you ended up with some health issues that you wouldn't get insurance otherwise. You can continue to keep your life insurance. You're just going to have to pay the higher premium, and it goes up every year after that, as long as you have it. So term life can be used situationally sometimes. Some people will use it while they have a mortgage, and they get an amount of term that will cover the mortgage if something happened to them, or while their kids are young, in case that money would pay out, so there would be some funds for college. There's different reasons to do term, and hopefully you do everything correctly and you're out of debt by the time you retire and you don't need life insurance anymore and you've put money aside for your final expenses. But we will have that conversation. At the very minimum, if you need enough coverage on term to cover final expenses. And we can do a small $10,000, $15,000 policy, which, again, unless you're extravagant, that will cover things and your family will not have that burden. Lastly, universal life insurance. Universal life insurance is kind of a hybrid between the two. There is some cash value that builds. The premium can change, but it's generally lower than whole life insurance, but higher than term. So again, it's kind of a married hybrid. If you want to quote that, we certainly can. It's just one of those things that we can look at. But when we're trying to hit a price point and reduce the risk, sometimes term is usually the best option, especially if you're older and you've waited to get life insurance. So next week, I'm going to talk more about if you have life insurance through your employer and also about your health issues. So until next week, peace out.